In this video, I'm going to talk about how we characterize between different products in a simulation model. So right now we have 5 objects in our window, and we've connected these objects so that we have the default flow items moving through the simulation. If I stop the model and I double click on one of the flow items, I can look at its properties. So this visually appears as a box, which you see right here, and the item type is classified as 1. Item type is the primary characteristic of your flow item, and it is a value that is stored in each and every flow item that travels through Flexum. The visual appearance actually is not the important part in Flexum. The visual appearance is only what we see. What's really important is the coding that is behind all of this pretty stuff, and the value item type is very important because the number is used to determine how we route different flow items to different directions in our simulation model. If we look at the source, we can actually change the visual appearance of the flow items. We can scroll through here and make this a circle or a person. And if I apply this, then I can run the simulation model, and then lo and behold, what's going through our simulation model but people. So this might be applicable in a service type environment. And but the default is box, so that's typically what appears. And notice every time I change the simulation model, I reset so that it captures my changes. So when I run the simulation model and look at these, the default is that every item type is 1. But typically, a company might have more than one product that is being manufactured, or a different service that is being provided. And so one of the ways we can characterize between these different products is item type. So right now, let's presume that I am a bicycle factory and I'm building 2 different types of bicycles, mountain bikes and road bikes. So right at the very beginning in my source, I wanted to tell Flexum that I'm using 2 different types of items or producing 2 different products. And in the properties box of the source, I'm going to go to the trigger, and the trigger is where I can make something happen to the item type. So when I leave this source on exit in this row here, I'm going to add a trigger where I set the item type. So I'm going to set the item type, and this actually sets the color too, which is helpful for appearances. Doesn't really mean anything as far as the math behind the simulation model, but it's easier for the user to understand what's happening. I want to have 2 different item types, 1 and 2. Now this code, duniform, is a code that basically distributes whatever numbers we have in here, the range, it will distribute them evenly. So if I want to have 50% mountain bikes and 50% road bikes, I say duniform bracket 1 comma 2. There's other ways. If I had 40% mountain bikes and 60% road bikes, I would use a different formula that I'll teach you later. So when I hit apply OK, reset run, we now see that I have a green box going through my model and a red one, and the colors are distinguishing between the 2 different item types. So red is going to be item type 1, green, which I know from experience, is item type 2. So again, to recapture what we did, we wanted to distinguish between 2 different products. We went into our source, we went to the tab that says triggers, and we added a piece of code through a pick down list, set item type and color, and we picked 2 different item types, 1 and 2, that we are assigning uniformly 50% each as 1s, 50% as 2s.